Once again, it is another edition of What's the Haps Lansing. It's Metro Melik, People's Champ. Have another fun informational show for you. Let's get right into it. So I'm going to, this is a complete sidebar inner monologue thing. You sent me a message, and I, in my mind, was registering as Brian T. Jackson.
Yep.
And so the response was the same, but then after the exchange, I was like, oh, that's the wrong Brian Jackson of which I was communicating in my brain.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
We get it a lot.
And then I saw you in real life a week or so after, and you were like, I fixed it in my brain, sorta, but then when I saw you, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't fix that at all.
Right? Okay, yeah. Maybe you should have both of us once, and like people mind meld to see that, oh, wow, there's two different people.
Completely different people.
But we're in so many similar circles. So Councilmember Jackson and his work with schools and the community, and we're now that I moved to the west side, we're even further.
Wait, we're neighbors?
Yeah.
So that was my other thought process. How many times have we met? Like, I don't know you that well.
Right.
I don't know you that well.
Right, sure.
And so when Chris was supposed to be on the show, I had this whole intro prepared.
Right.
I was going to talk about how he's involved in the community and how he's had this position for a while. And even though it's an elected position, it shows how well he's connected to the community and this, that, and the other. But he's also like a neighbor. He also is involved business-wise. And one of the things that I can say about him, I think is one of his best attributes next to being re-elected continuously in the position, is that he always has a smile on his face no matter what he's doing and how he's doing. So I had all this prepared.
Right. And
then you sent me a message this morning. You're like, he's not going to be on, I am. And I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah, so here we go. And all the things are so correct about Chris Swope, the city clerk and that. But I would say many would say that about me as well, that I'm always smiling what's going on in the background. And, And I think worked with Chris now for 5 years. So the other Brian Jackson, Brian P. Brian Patrick Jackson. My dad's the Brian Jackson as well, but luckily he doesn't live in the town, and we would even have further confusion.
Right.
That's just in my family. So I'm already used to the Brian Jackson.
Which one is it?
Yeah.
Senior, junior?
No, he's Brian Michael. So
okay.
I'm not even a junior. I'm Brian Pat.
Okay.
My family and that. So funny is when I saw when Councilmember Jackson ran for office, and he put the middle initial in a sign. It's like, oh, wow, he's really making sure. Wait, that's not a compliment. He's really trying to like, no, I'm not that guy.
Well, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, are you from Lansing?
I came to Michigan State in the early 90s and loved the area and never left town. So I've been a resident in the city of Lansing for over 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, moved from the east side to the west side neighborhood just last year. So 1 year, but I've been around in the city, working around in the city for a while.
What part of the east side? I love the east side. I was there.
Sycamore Creek neighborhood. Over by Mount Hope in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
In that neighborhood there. I've been involved in government and politics, and I was helping Dave Hollister running for mayor. And I'm from the Detroit area in the suburbs, pretty boring. And knocking doors where, wow, houses of different people, different races in the same neighborhood, let alone on the same street, and such diversity and so much going on. I was like, this is awesome. I didn't think this really existed in Michigan from my upbringing in the boring suburbs.
Very monotone.
Yes.
In the most polite way of saying it, suburbs.
Yeah.
So
that's how I fell in love with Lansing, and I've been glad to have been here since.
For what were you going to school, and is that something that you are doing now or different?
Yeah, no, pretty different.
Okay.
I'm now the chief deputy city clerk. So now putting on the election and administrating the election, while my dream while in college was to run campaigns and be the next George Stephanopoulos.
Okay.
Was really the dream, to be, behind the podium talking about the great things that, someone who I really thought is great and passionate, would do great for the state. I would support them and get them involved. So my passion, since I was young, was politics and progressive policies and making our community, our state, a better place. But
what led to that? Like, was it a TV show? Did you know a politician? Like, what?
No, I think it's really my faith and upbringing. My dad is a teacher. The original
Jackson?
The original Brian Jackson. and talking about how, the faith and Bible and taking care of others and the most needy. I mean, that's where I was. And how you would do that is by electing people who care about those things and make those decisions. And so, no, I was a real, freak about it. I mean, I was like the Young Democrat Club, or my parents would take me out of school on election day, and we would hand out literature for whatever the candidate that was running in our area. So, no,
right.
It's been a long. I mean, it's like my passion.
Yeah.
So to find a career that's a little more family friendly than running campaigns is great, to actually run the election, so that no matter what the people decide, to make sure they have their rights, they know their ability, they have the ability to exercise their voice. And it really just kind of made it much more appropriate in a way to really take that passion into a career that outside of election season is basically more 9 to 5.
Right.
Maybe those long council meetings, but campaigning is a very
grueling.
It's grueling.
Yeah.
For family and that. So.
So you have a family?
Yeah. I have. My son is finishing his senior year of high school, and my wife works over in Meridian Township. And for it, so I have a family, and that's certainly so I actually, between starting a family and where I am now, I worked at LCC for a decade.
Oh.
And helping communications and working for President Paula Cunningham.
Yeah.
And then ran LCC East and helping students, and I really did enjoy that, and navigating the process. So I find that's the pattern, is take bureaucratic challenges and break it down so that the people can decide, can walk their way through the process. So instead of using the absentee process, well, no one used the word absentee. What does that mean? I mean, where do you use that anywhere else? So voting at home. You want to vote at home? Great. Just fill this out and you will be able to vote at home. Rather than use that abstract bureaucratic,
very abstract word,
absentee. You want to vote early? Come into the office, fill this out, this absentee form.
Because that definition within itself kind of changed, because at first you had to have, like, oh, I'm in the military, I'm not at home, so you get a quote-unquote absentee ballot, which turns into, well, I'm not necessarily out overseas or something like that, but it might be a challenge to get to a poll on a day,
right?
So you can vote quote unquote at home absentee.
Yeah.
So there was that kind of broadened the scope.
And now and then 2018, Proposal 3, anyone. I just want to vote at home in my pajamas at 2 a.m.
Right.
Cool. You have that option. I may be busy that day, or the weather looks kind of not very good. Why don't I vote early on a nice sunny day and come to the clerk's office and do that? So I really love that, be able to do that. And that's why I work so well with Chris. He has that passion as well, to make sure people, our citizens, are aware of how to vote early, vote at home, or vote on the election day. You have those options.
Let's get back to the office at hand.
Sure.
Chris's position is vote. You vote for that person.
Yeah, he's elected.
He's an elected official.
Yeah.
Your job is what?
Is to make sure he's happy.
But you're appointed by
Chris.
And so it's not necessarily connected to a vote or an election, but it's connected to the person that is at in the office.
Right. My job is actually in the charter. If the clerk is unavailable, I can do whatever the clerk needs to be done. So basically, I'm the number 2, if you're using Star Trek reference. And if he needs something signed and he's working on the elections over at the other office, I can sign it at City Hall because he's not available there, so that the paperwork still gets processed and things are able to move forward and that. So I help with a staff of us of 6 people. On a regular basis, we administer the election, but we also are responsible for all the city records, council meetings. It's very interesting how the charter was created, and each city is different. In Michigan, we're like, he's not with the mayor. We don't report to the mayor, and we don't report to the council. We are the process people. It was like, we're trying to figure out. I was into the job early, and I was like, we have relationships with both, and if they are maybe not getting along on that given day or that given week or that given term of office, we have to always maintain that, and they are counting on us and making sure the process, as well as the public, so that everything is public, so that they can have access to it, and without having to go to the mayor or the council for the documents and things like that.
It's a record-keeping documentation entity of the city.
Yeah.
That has a elected official basically at the helm, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
But then a staff that is appointed by the city clerk.
Yep.
And then it fills out. You're the deputy city clerk, so just in case there's a situation where the city clerk is not available, the situation can be continued, the process, and then you go from there. I think that is a necessary explanation, because as long as I've known Chris and knew about a city clerk office, I'm like, what?
Right, yeah. And that's the kind of thing. I mean, I know this time we now have the billboards and the
this time
we definitely with this wonderful grant we received to help educate, we definitely have raised the profile of the office, and now the scrutiny what the clerk does. But normally it's a good news. If you're not hearing what the clerk is doing, that means
everything's gravy.
Things are doing well, and we're making sure that the people's comments go into council, and you want a letter go to council, and it's a public record. You come to us so that the mayor can say, "Oh, I don't want that on there," or council.
You're Switzerland.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. That's a good time to take a break. We've made that explanation. We're going to be back in about 120 seconds. We have a couple of people that are kind of helping move along the show, and we want to give them some shout outs as well. So we'll be back in 120 seconds. It's another edition of What's the Haps, Lansing Interrobang. And I'm Metro Melik, People's Champ. We're here with Brian Jackson, Deputy City Clerk of the Lansing City Clerk's office. And you're basically right on time. There's a unfortunate situation that every election, there's a lot of communication happens. And I think we should probably have more conversations with your office after this, because I think it's important to know what else happens within that office, because with the little bit of information I know most of us and I have, I'll just put me in a spot. I'm like, well, what do you do when there's not an election? And I've just been educated that there's a lot to do. It's a continuous basis. So let's talk to this at hand. We've got a situation now where there's a lot of cool details. Voting from home. What did you call it? It's not what is it?
Yeah, voting from home.
Voting from home
is rather than what's formerly, or it's still called absentee voting, but just to help people understand in general public that you can vote at home. Anyone can do it, not just certain people like it used to be.
Am I still able to do that up until when? So we got to talk about in generalities. This is being recorded on one day, going to air another.
Right. Well, you now you realize when you do with voting at home, we're mailing you a ballot.
Oh, okay. So
and then the post office same plan about a week. So so you definitely want to incorporate. Okay, a ballot got to get to to me. And then, whether I use one of the 15 drop boxes in the city, or I got to mail it back because I'm actually not in Lansing right now. I'm now in Traverse City or in Florida or California. How do I get that ballot back? So voting at home is where you're residing for that, for that time period. So you want when you get in about 2 weeks before the election, that's probably not the best option unless you can't drive back to Lansing and take advantage of early voting.
So does that ballot have to be returned by midnight election day?
8 p.m. on election day.
8 p.m.
So like when polls close at 8 o'clock?
Polls are closed.
When polls are closed at 8, or if anyone's in line at 8 o'clock, completes their voting, all those drop boxes are going to be locked up at 8 o'clock and take all the ballots out, and no more ballots can go in. So the ballots have to be in the clerk's possession, whether a drop box, an office, by 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock does not count.
All right, so that's something that the person has to know. You can't blame anybody else. It's the rule for everybody.
Right.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Right.
It's the rule for everybody.
That is a rule
8 o'clock.
Election day.
So if your post person isn't handing it to your office or a clerk,
right? We
done.
Get the overnight packages. I mean, people will overnight them from all over the country, spend big bucks, but it gets to us, and those get
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right. So then we talked about the ballot boxes. You said how many in the city?
There's now 15.
15.
About everyone has one within 2 miles of them.
Oh, really?
Or less, yeah. We have them at every fire station.
Okay.
We have them at all the community centers.
Okay.
We found some holes. So CATA was great enough to put one by their headquarters over on Tranter, over on the east side, by Kavanaugh. So that's
yeah.
Our courtesy cemetery office on Mount Hope, where we put one there. Yeah, so make sure we cover the east side. As well as, we have them at the downtown CATA. So anyone on the bus route, if they're going through the transfer station, can drop it off there.
Okay.
So we've covered throughout the city. First time we ever had this many. So
that's 15. One at CATA, and then I know you have one. There's a fire station up the road and down the way. So
there's 6 fire stations all over the city.
Yeah, so that's significant.
So they're all really close by. So cool thing, our IT department, you can go to lansingvotes.com and an interactive map. Type in your address, and it will map what are the ones that are closest to you or along your route. So,
and then if you don't have absentee ballot. You can also go to that same website and check out what your ballot is if you want to
preview your ballot. Yeah, which is really cool opportunity ahead of time to look at the different things so that you're in preparations for election day.
Always look for side 2. Always look for side 2.
Yeah, there's always 2 sides to a ballot. Not every time is there words on it, but there's always 2 sides to the ballot. So the instructions are, because those proposals
usually end up on side 2.
Yeah. So it's a long ballot. This and usually is for the presidential election.
Because there's also entities that believe they want to be on a presidential election ballot. For whatever
there's different theories,
so
for it. But I mean, you think we have in Michigan, especially, more elected positions. So you have your county positions, your state reps, and going down the line. Your school board are now on the November ballot as well. So important things like this, schools. So it really impacts. And then we have elections every year. People kind of think, oh, I show up every 4 years. We have elections. The city elections will be next year.
Mm-hmm.
The proposals and things like that. So we're hoping now that so many people now are on that list to get an application to vote at home. Again, I got rid of other words that didn't make sense. So they will automatically get an application, but no one automatically gets a ballot.
So that's another misconception,
right?
That ballots are actually just being sent willy-nilly.
Right. You have to fill out an application, send it back to us, because we need to make sure you're still there, both physically and
Well, I've seen
right.
social media, the quagmire that it is,
sure,
where somebody made a complaint about your office and saying how it doesn't work, and someone pointed out to them, that's an application.
Right.
It's not a ballot.
Right.
And so if those other 3 people aren't there, that's how you would, that's a checks and balances of how that works. You have to actually send that back.
Right.
How can you do it online too? Apply online for
you can apply online now. It's really new this year, which has been great. So we have especially given this COVID environment, so that we're reducing those face-to-face interactions, and still are people able to get their ballot, able to return it, and all those things in a very safe way.
I'm going to set you up for failure, and I do apologize. We have 5 minutes left.
Okay.
COVID safety and heightened intensity safety.
Sure. So voting in a precinct is safer than going to the grocery store.
Okay.
We have sanitizers and wipes and protocols so that, giving person one pen, they're going to mark their application, go through the whole process that's been sanitized, and then it'll be sanitized before it goes back into circulation. So voting, we're going to ask everyone to wear a mask. We have masks available. You happen to forget one, we'll be able to get you through that. Our election workers will be masked up as well, and for it. But if people are worried about risk, I really encourage early voting. We have up to 4 o'clock the Monday prior. So every election, you can vote early up to 4 p.m. before. So if you want, come and do that.
Okay.
Voting.
And so that's here at the, where are we? SWAT?
The South Washington Election Unit. That's how we kind of describe going to the back of the building. Of the office complex. But we actually have City Hall is always available.
So City Hall, and then this building on 2500 South Washington Avenue, not Square, Avenue. Go to the back of the building. You can vote up until 4 o'clock the day before the Tuesday election. And
the whole weekend before. We're open to Saturday and Sunday before that last weekend. Extended hours as well.
Okay.
So we're talking this election, we'll be open till 10 o'clock at night.
Oh.
Because of the heightened demand.
And then people's concerns.
And then we're able to expand hours so that we're able to stretch out, and so people can come at different times, so we don't have everyone coming in a very narrow window. So we're open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday for this election, and we'll probably do that every, in future
Lansing
elections.
as a city has taken care of its people.
Definitely.
there are places that people talking about minorities or social economic diversity or disparity have long waiting lines. Lansing has done. I can't think of anything more you could do at this point in time to be available to vote.
Well, we're now open at the Southside Community Center, so another location where people can do early voting for this election cycle. In Michigan, I think we do a pretty good job of that, in Lansing in particular. It's a passion of Chris to make election available. It shouldn't be difficult. It shouldn't be an obstacle. It should be easy way to access. To share your voice, your vote is for
You've taken all the excuses away, bro.
Really?
I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I mean, I don't know about other municipalities or communities, but what I've just learned in this last 15 minutes of this show is that you've taken the excuses away.
Right.
You're open on the weekend. You're open to 10 o'clock at night the weekend before. You could do the vote at home situation. Granted, at this point in time, chances are you should hand that to someone.
Right.
Or put in the box. Your boxes are safe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure it's like a mailbox. You can only get in, you can't get out.
Right. Yeah. They're all like. The nice thing though is this is going on all over Michigan. Actually, we're expanding maybe a little bit more hours, or but these options are available to everybody in Michigan. And there's more drop boxes, and Chris is the president of the Michigan Clerk Association, so he really looks at himself. We set in the standard. We're trying out the new technology, trying to mine the new efficiency, and then we share that with the rest of the state on a very regular basis. And so as much as we're serving for the city, we also look like we're serving for the state. As the capital city, we need to set that standard, and we're happy to take that on to help make it easier for other clerks.
So in closing, anything you want to say to all of the voters?
All the voters, if you have any questions, lansingvotes.com. You can always give us a call, 517-483-4131. So there's a lot of people, misinformation, intentional or not. If you ever have a question, give us a call, go to our website. We'll make sure we'll take care of you.
All right, Chris, Brian, TP, Jackson, dude, West Side guy, I'm just messing with you. But, Brian, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for enlightening us and informing us. And thank you for your passion, because passion promotes progress, and I think your office is doing very well.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate the time.